Hey YouTube, how's everybody doing tonight? So tonight I'm coming from you from the inside of my messy shop. So it's kind of late at night, and so it's too dark outside to film. I wanted to apologize. Last week we didn't get a video out because we've been having a lot of trouble with our internet, and it seems like that you pay more for the internet these days, and the service is a lot less. And so we've been dealing with some issues with that. I've actually called our internet provider and said, hey, what's going on with our internet? It's just a little nuts. And so, but anyway, so I'd like to apologize because we didn't get a video out last week, because we had one filmed and we had it edited, but we did not have enough internet bandwidth, I guess, to get it uploaded. And also we went into town to try to upload it in town, and couldn't get that done either. So we just kind of been having some issues with our internet, and so just bear with us a little bit while we work through that, because we still have not been able to upload that video to YouTube, even though it's complete. So we've been having some issues. But anyway, so but what I wanted to talk to you tonight about is earlier this week. Well, it was probably like last weekend, really. A guy I know, he asked me, why do we homestead? And he is a what you would call a quote unquote prepper. So he's preparing, and he asked me, he's like, well, why do you homestead? Does that prepare you for the apocalypse? And I was like, well, we're not really preparing for the apocalypse. We're, trying to be more self-sufficient. But it got me thinking down these lines, of why do you homestead? What is, last week, or not last week, the week before, I did a video on the skills that it takes to homestead, and it was just a brief touch on some of the skills that you need to be a homesteader. And but I never really talked about why you homestead. So a lot of people want to homestead, but why do you want to homestead? What is your purpose in homesteading? What is your goals? Is it just to be more self-sufficient? Is it to eat healthier food because you're growing it yourself and you know what's in it? There's I spent 10 years in the military, and the number of reasons people had for going into the military were just numerous. And it's the same way with homesteading. If you ask 10 different homesteaders why do they homestead, you'll likely get 10 different answers. So you have to figure out what that is for you. So when I told my friend I'm not really preparing for the apocalypse, when my wife and I started homesteading, what we wanted was, we wanted more self-sufficiency. We didn't want to have to wait and depend on a grocery store to get our food, and two, we wanted to know what was in our food. We farm, but we don't ever see the end user. So when we grow a crop, it gets sold to a grain elevator, and then we never see it again. So we don't know what it goes through, and we don't know a lot of things about what happens from that food from the time that we sell it to a grain elevator to the time that it's put in a box on a store shelf. And so that's one of the main reasons we started homesteading. But when you're looking at homesteading, you need to find out, okay, am I wanting to do it to be more self-sufficient, or you just need to know, why do you want to homestead? Because very quickly everybody has this romantic idea of what homesteading is like, and very quickly it wears off, especially at 2 o'clock in the morning in the middle of winter when it's sleeting on you and you gotta be outside helping a cow have a calf. at that point it's no longer romantic. It's just the pits, because it sucks outside in the cold and getting sleeted on and all this. And so, especially if you have too many livestock to fit in a barn, or if you don't have a barn. So you know, don't just have that dream of homesteading and then you don't have without knowing the reality of it. Have a goal. Well, why do I want a homestead? And you need, but that's something you need to answer for yourself and for your family or loved ones, if you have a family that's going to be homesteading with you. So you need to figure all that out. I would say the biggest reason people probably do homestead is self-sufficiency. And I don't want to offend anybody, but I want to talk to some of the preppers out there too. Homesteading does make you more self-sufficient, but I would say neither homesteading nor prepping can really prepare you for the apocalypse, because nobody can be completely self-sufficient. There's just not enough hours and enough time in the day. So you're always going to have to rely on somebody else. And that's one nice thing about the homesteading and the prepping community, is there are other like-minded people out there that you can go and talk to. And some of the YouTube channels, they have symposiums, so you can get together and so get different ideas and other things and build those relationships, because you will need those relationships. That idea of a single Mad Max versus Thunderdome guy that survives everything by himself is just not realistic at all. So, and maybe it's a good thing because it's the week of September 11th. But I was in the military, and I went to Afghanistan. We deployed in 2001, and let me tell you, that's a hard country. It really is. People, especially preppers, they like the MREs, and it's not a bad idea to have MREs, but when you've had nothing but MREs for 90 to 120 days, it just sucks. And you want something different. And so there's the mental side of it, and that's where those relationships come in really handy, as far as, okay, I'm not in this by myself. And so, and like I said, so that's why one of the reasons I think prepping nor homesteading can really prepare you for what that scenario might look like, because most Americans are spoiled beyond belief. And it's not a bad thing, but it is, just a fact of life. And until you've had to live that life, a lot of people try to have their pantry challenges or these other things, just to live off of, what they have and nothing else for a week. Well, a week's not a big deal. But when you're 90, 120 days in and there's no end in sight, and you can't just go to the store to get what you want, or go get a Dr. Pepper or a Coke or whatever it is, then it's not as fun anymore. So like I said, I wouldn't get wrapped up in the homesteading, or prepping as far as that goes, and think, well, I'm just going to be the lone survivor. It's not going to work. But have goals, and have realistic goals whenever you're homesteading, as far as what you want out of it, and what you expect to give it back to you, because you don't want to do anything without return on investment. So that's just some thoughts from me. If you have any questions or comments, put them down below. And we thank y'all for watching. Please like and subscribe. And I'm going to continue to do a series on certain skills. I'm doing some videos right now to get certain skills for homesteading. So stay tuned. Thank you.